Hello, everybody. Happy late Saturday night slash Sunday morning. Hope yours is going well. And we've got a late night video tonight, or early morning, depending on your perspective. I usually don't post them this late, but Pac-12 After Dark sometimes demands it. So, this is not a Seahawks video, as you have probably been able to figure out by now. This is a Washington Huskies video. I am a fan of the Washington Huskies, and I make videos for the Huskies games. So, we just played our season opener, our actual season opener, not the 5 games before this game that were supposed to be the season opener. It's been a very frustrating season for pretty much any Pac-12 fan, but for the Huskies it was brutal because we were supposed to open our season almost 2 months ago, and then it was supposed to be last week, the week before. It's been tough, but we finally actually opened the season, and we did it with a win, 27-21 against the Oregon State Beavers. And I didn't make a pregame video because I had no idea what I would have said, because I don't know what to think of this Huskies team because we lost a lot of guys. We didn't know who our QB was going to be. We didn't really have a lot of familiarity with this offensive line. I don't really recognize this offensive line that well. We have a new coach. I didn't know what I was going to say, so I decided tonight I was going to go live during the Husky game, and I did a 3.5-hour stream during the game because I figured we're going to find out what this team is going to be about this year together. I'm not going to be able to do it by going through and looking at the roster before the game, so I decided I'd stream that whole game with, I think we had almost 50 people in there at one point, so that was pretty cool. And I was going to figure out in real time what this team was all about. So after watching the first 60 minutes of football, what can we say about the Washington Huskies? Well, quite a bit. So Dylan Morris ended up being the QB who got sent out there. We knew it was going to be one of like 4 different people. A lot of people basically had their theories of who it was going to be, but Jimmy Lake was very intentionally not revealing it. And we found out right before kickoff it was Dylan Morris taking the start at QB. And, well, he played like a freshman in his first ever college football start. Not to say that I think he played badly. I think he played fine. He went 14 of 24. 3 of his incomplete passes were knocked down at the line of scrimmage, which it's not totally on him, and another 3 were dropped. Ty Jones had a drop in the end zone. That would have been a big touchdown, by the way. Bynum had a drop. I think Puka had a drop. It was a rough game for these receivers, and we had a couple opportunities to make big plays down the field, and it simply didn't happen because I think the weather had something to do with it. I will admit that. The weather was not great. It was raining for a good chunk of this game. That did not help the receivers. So I think Dylan Morris played fine. I'm not going to say he played good or great or anything like that because he didn't. But given the circumstances that he was in and given the support he got from his teammates, I think he played fine. And this game was certainly not about him because it became very clear early on. And as this game went on, it became only more clear that this was going to be about the rushing attack. And based off what I saw in this game, I think I know what kind of Huskies team we're going to be looking forward to this year. This is going to be a team that runs the ball, and then they run the ball more, and then they run the ball again, and just when you expect maybe they're going to do something different this time, no, they run the ball more. And based off this first game, it seems like they can at least do that pretty well. The only reason why we didn't have 300 rushing yards in this game were because of holding penalties that called back a couple of big runs and killed a couple of drives. If we were able to clean up the penalties on our offensive line, the holding calls, this would have been a 300-yard game on the ground. Sean McGrew played incredible. He 91 yards, 10 yards per carry, and a touchdown, but then he got hurt, and I didn't see him in the fourth quarter at all, so hopefully he's okay. Kamari Pleasant had a nice game. He had the early touchdown, 5 yards a carry. Richard Newton, not a big game from him, but he was grinding out the tough yards. He was grinding out the tough plays at the line of scrimmage, especially near the end of the game. We had end-arounds to Terrell Bynum going. Dylan Morris took off for one big run in this game, and he had a couple good QB sneaks. Lot of good stuff happening on the ground for this Huskies team. Like I said, the only reason why we didn't have 300 yards in this game was a couple of holding penalties that killed a couple of drives. So, hey, I'll take what I can get. I'm not expecting the world of some freshman QB who was in competition with 3 other freshman QBs. I can't expect that dude to go in there and just start killing it. And I'm perfectly fine with a bus driver, especially if our rushing attack is able to keep it up like that. Give some credit to Terrell Bynum and Puka and Ty Jones. They did create a couple of big plays in the passing game. Bynum had one 42-yard catch with a nice catch and run, very nice. The running backs contributed in the passing game as well. They caught some screen passes to pick up some crucial third downs. But yeah, this is most certainly a game that was about the rushing attack and the offensive line. And I think both played quite well. The offensive line played very well, and they were a group that I was concerned about, but I think they did their job. And we're going to be able to squeeze out some wins this year with just this rushing attack. And we're going to need it because we need to keep this defense off the field because it was looking into a mirror today, guys. We were looking dead straight into a mirror. Oregon State basically did exactly what we did. They ran the ball again, they ran the ball more. Not quite as effectively as we did, but Jamar Jefferson killed us, BJ Baylor killed us. We couldn't stop the run, and for a Huskies fan like me that is used to a certain level of defensive competency, it's tough to see how much this team has slipped. And obviously we lost players and didn't do an amazing job replacing them, but not even being able to stop the run when the other team isn't really threatening you through the air at all, because Tristan Gabia, 11 of 24, he had some drops as well. The Oregon State receivers dropped some passes. They weren't ever able to get any big plays down the field. I think their biggest play of the game was quick pass over the middle to their tight end right before the end of the half. 15 yards was their longest pass of the game. They weren't even threatening us through the air, and I do want to give the team some credit for disrupting him. They got to him a couple times for sacks. They got a couple strip sacks on him, but this team did not pose any threat to us in the passing game, and we could not stop the run. Oregon State was running the same play over and over and over again, and we couldn't stop it. Almost 5 yards a carry. And realistically, and I'm going to go ahead and say this, I'm going to admit it now, we won the game and we deserve to win the game. I don't care what anybody says. We did deserve to win this game, but this game swung heavily on a ridiculous ball spot inside the 5-yard line where Oregon State picked up the 3rd and 1, somehow didn't get the spot, and then they picked up the 4th and 1 and somehow didn't get the spot. If they pick up those first downs, which watching those plays, I honestly believe they did, this is a completely different ball game. So we can count our lucky stars on that one because that was probably an Oregon State touchdown that got taken off the board for the Beavers. I still think we would have won this game, and I still think we deserve to win this game, but this was an evenly fought game for the most part. And, some of that was because a couple of our promising drives got killed by penalties. And we also had the missed chippy field goal by Peyton Henry, which, by the way, Peyton Henry, I swear to God, has been our kicker for 8 years or something. I feel like he's been there forever. Really would like to have a better kicker in here, but not going to happen right now. But, yeah, this game tells us that the Huskies are not going to be a great team this year. But you know what? They got the win. They did some good stuff. They showed some promise. It seems like our pass defense at least should still be good, which is obviously something to watch for because the Huskies have become known for their ability to defend against the pass the last several years because of all the amazing defensive backs we've had. Buda Baker, Sidney Jones, Byron Murphy, Kevin King, the list goes on and on. So it seems like we're at least continuing that trend, and we did get some successful pass rushes against Gabia, but I think it's Gabia. But yeah, if we can't stop the run, it's a non-starter against some of the better teams we're going to play eventually. All right, it's only going to be a 5-game season, so we're not going to see very much of the Huskies this year in all likelihood, but tonight was, well, mixed. And I'm going to leave it at that. Peace out. Bow down to Washington. See you guys tomorrow for the Seahawks stuff.